All right. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of our weekly Wednesday Lunch and Learn. Every Wednesday, I have the opportunity to get to interview top agents all across the country. And today, I'm delighted to have Hui out of Houston, Texas. So, welcome to the show, Hui. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? What did you actually do before real estate?
Yo, Spencer, nice to meet you. But yeah, my name is Hui. I'm from Houston, Texas, and actually, I don't know. So maybe you can answer this question for me later. I don't know what is it special about me that you picked me for this interview. To be honest, I have no idea. You just pop out from nowhere, and then it be something that I do that interested you. So let me know about that later, and then maybe we can go all in that. But yeah, I've been in real estate for oh god, 7 years, 8 years. But I only started doing full time with EXP 3 years ago. So long story short, I get my real estate license. I start buying rental property. Doing landlord investment stuff in Houston, Texas. Doing that when I was working for Hewlett Packard, and then I worked for Slumber J for quite a while, and then 3 years later when I met my sponsor, and she showed me and she introduced me into this EXP model. I put in my 3 week notice to my boss at Slumber J, and I never looked back. Yeah, long story short.
Nice. When did you quit that job? Was it 3 years ago or?
Yeah. I actually make a post about that. 2017. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
nice.
3 years ago, I saw the model, and I scared everybody. But I actually scared my sponsor in the room because back then I get I have a very stable, high paying full time job, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, after I watch the presentation, I come up to the presenter and I say, hey, I like this. I'm gonna quit my job. And people's like, whoa, hang on,
Yeah.
dude, don't quit. But yeah, so everybody was worried, but I guess it was it is an absolutely good decision.
I'm sure it has been. Like, did you actually? So sorry, did you actually do real estate while you were working at the time? Like, you did a few investments here and there, or what did
Yeah,
you? Okay, so it wasn't just cold turkey in a sense.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I get my license. I have a philosophy of I eat my own dog food, right? So if
Yeah.
I want to um service all the investor, all the client first, I have to learn how to service myself first. So that's what I do. So I get my license. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know that I can buy house, I can rent it out, and I just love the idea of investing in real estate. And those are in my year when I do it part time before I jump to EXP and do it full time and help other people, help myself, help my family, help my friend, help other people as well.
Interesting. Can you share that the journey? Is that where you spend most of your time and focus on, which is kind of for investors buying rental properties? Like, how many do you own yourself? Like, how many did you do this year, as an example, too? That would be great to learn.
Yeah, so we own quite a few rental. I has been accumulating rental, since I'm out of college, since I was 20, 22, 23 years old. Yeah, so that was about quite a while back. What was your question again? I'm sorry, I lost
Yeah,
my
no,
train
no
of thought.
worries. Yeah, so the question is like, how many have you accumulated yourself right now?
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, so that would be the first question.
quite more than a dozen. We keep all our rental. We didn't sell. We sell a couple. We refinance some. But yeah, just I believe that every so later on when we get into it, I can tell you the reason why I joined EXP. But I believe like every single real estate agent, we need to invest in real estate. Okay, we need to eat our own dog food. If you tell people
Yeah.
to buy real estate, you need to buy it for yourself first
Yeah.
before you go out and sell it to anybody else.
I think it's wonderful that actually you have, and that's why I asked that question, that you own, more than a dozen rentals, because there are realtors that don't even own their own house. Like, that
Exactly.
makes no
So,
sense.
you know,
Like, how can this be the case? Like you're selling these houses and pitching this dream, yet you don't even own a
yeah,
house. That's number
so it
one.
doesn't get me. Yeah,
And then number two, like, they may not like invest right in
yeah,
themselves or in this, because
exactly.
they see this opportunity all the time,
Uh-huh.
yet they don't actually put in the work and become a landlord and go through it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
awesome to hear that from you. Now, for your own clients and your network, are you mostly helping them buy investment property, or are there's also a mix of like their personal property too?
Oh, this is a mix of everything. So their personal property too, but just like anything, right? I don't want to be like the jack of all trade.
Yeah.
If you tell people you know how to do everything, really you don't know how to do anything. So
Yeah.
although I help people with their personal real estate as well, but I would I, I guess I would brand myself as a guy who really focus on investment property. So we do flip, we do we do buy and rent, we do buy and sell, we do buy and flip. It's
Uh-huh.
just a lot more investment focus, and I don't think we have enough realtor out there that is actually focused on investment real estate. So I want to be that guy.
No, that's awesome. And so you asked the question beginning, why did I reach out? It was because of that reason, like
There you go.
especially in the market that you're in, right? Where
Hmm.
there's a lot of potential rental opportunities. I mean, Texas in general has a lot of interesting opportunities. And so this is a conversation more of that analytical kind of approach of how you determine whether this is a good buy or not. So we'll go
Exactly.
over that, a little bit later.
Uh-huh.
But so why don't you kind of educate people on the local market over the years, right? There's a period that Houston, especially oil, was over $100 a barrel and red hot, and obviously over the
Yeah.
last maybe 1 or 2 years, is
Hmm.
certainly oil has dropped much lower, and
Right.
now you got hit by the hurricane. I'm not sure the impact there.
Okay.
So why don't you share a little bit of what has been the dynamics from a economy perspective, but also from a real estate perspective in Houston over the last
Okay.
several years?
Okay. Well, so I don't want to toot my own horn, but I believe that's, Houston, I think I can send you some article to look at. We are rated at, one of the best city to live in, to invest in, and basically to do business,
Hmm.
in the next couple of years or so. And I think, this is just me, my opinion, right? And I think because of it is because, our job is, we have a very strong job economy. First of all, Texas is very business friendly, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have any local, and we don't have any state taxes. The state of Texas encourage business to come here. We are a very landlord friendly state. So that's a key reason. And then like Houston in particular, we have medical. We have oil and gas, as you mentioned. We have refinery, and it's just a very strong and diverse business. That I don't see healthcare. All those, I'm a fan of Tesla. I don't see oil going away anytime soon. It's just a super strong, super diverse, job economy that is going to support the real estate business. And especially, if you compare Houston price, with other city in the world or in the US, like the Bay Area, San Francisco, our price is like here, compared to everybody else. So it's super affordable to live, work here.
Yeah, no, very good. So why don't you run through some of the numbers? Like, obviously, the ones in the past look amazing now, given probably rent has increased. But how
Uh-huh.
much typically does rent increase a year? And then if walk us through maybe your most recent rental purchase and kind of run those numbers of what they can expect,
Okay.
which is considered a good buy in your eyes.
Yeah. So what consider a good buy in my eyes, like, so let me back it up, right? Each investor, they have different investment philosophy. So what's a
Right.
good buy for me? It's not necessary a good buy for one of my client, for example. We each
Sure.
have investment goal, but I can just tell you from my example that, one of the house that I bought, 5 years ago, the rent was, 1200, right? So it's 1600 now.
Oh,
Back
wow.
then, yeah, the house, I was able to buy it just directly from the MLS, for, it doesn't need any repair,
Mhm.
90,000, brand new, one story, three single family house, two bedroom. I rented that for 1200, increased over the year, still have my original tenant with me. The market rent is 1600, I give them a break at 1400, and, it has been one of my great investment over the year. Nowadays, it's kind of hard to find those kind of deal. I have to rely a lot on wholesaler, off market deal. But yeah, deal is still out there, but you just have to look like 100 times harder in order to find them. Yeah, and the spread is going to be a lot the spread is gonna be a lot less, but it still
Right.
work. If you if you know how to do some advanced strategy like the burr, the buy, the fixed, refinance and then repeat. If you burr it, like the house I stay in right now, if you burr it out, it still work. The numbers
Mm-hmm.
still work, but you have to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mentioned, just a recap, that was a $90,000 home that rented for 1,200.
Yeah, that was
And then right.
way back.
And what would be today, like that
So
same
today,
example for $1,400 rent or $1,600 rent? Like how much would that cost now?
yeah. So let's take the same example, right? That same house, I didn't do any improvement to it. I run COM on it, just a couple months ago. The COM is now at 180.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so now
it's a,
180 is 100% return in as far as equity, and then of course the rent come up as well.
right. So from a ratio perspective, it's under 1%, but it's still doable.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's tight. You have to, right now, you don't find deal that doesn't need any repair, and you can just, like lease it out and make the number less than 1% anymore.
Mhm.
So you have to, just like anything, you have to get more skill as the market develops. So you have to buy, more distressed property. You have to know how to work with people, move them out. You have to know how to repair it right, and then you have to know how to work with the bank to get it refinanced. So that way, hopefully your goal is that the property is going to be infinite return.
Got it. And then so from a location perspective, like where is this relative to Houston? Like what city is this in?
Oh man, I have rental all over the place in Houston. This particular house that we just talked about is in south of Houston. It's called Pearland area.
Okay.
So, 288 and Bellwood 8. Yeah, all over Houston. Prices increase, and especially with COVID right now, low inventory and low interest rate, it pushed the price up even higher, like crazy. Yeah.
So walk us through a little bit of the geography of what you know of Houston, right? Like from me on the outside, I've actually never been to Houston. That was definitely a place I want to go.
Absolutely.
I know that
you hit.
I know the Asian food there is amazing too. I heard that, like the Vietnamese food. So I heard that. But why don't you walk us through like how Houston is laid out in a sense, right? So you have obviously the main Houston, right? You have the proper city of Houston, and then you have it's a metro. So So I
don't know if you're familiar with Dallas. Dallas is another city, but in Texas, but I believe that Houston is growing, the way that Dallas is, So it's a multiple metroplex. So you have multiple city, in a very, you have multiple cities. So only Houston, but then you have Sugar Land on the bottom, and then you have Katy, which is super hot right now, on I-10. And then you have Cypress, which is where I'm at. I'm near Cypress. And then you have Spring on the north. You have Humboldt, which is the airport, the IH airport. You have this Baytown. Remember, I messed you up with the Baytown when you say you're from the Bay Area. I thought you were from the Bay Area, which is our refinery.
The refinery. Got it. I see.
All the it's power the entire city of Houston. All the refinery job is over there.
Oh,
and then you have Friendwood over here. And then you have Pearland that we talk about. So Houston is just in the middle, right?
Right.
And you have all these multiple cities around Houston.
Right.
And for I just cannot, like everywhere I go, I see construction. I see crane going up. I see new builder. It haven't slowed down a bit since the COVID, since whatever. I haven't seen the city slow down a bit for the past couple of years. Everything has been like running like crazy. Yeah,
that is interesting. And so how do people decide like whether they live north, they live east, south? Like how do they decide that?
Obviously it's up to you, right? So for me, so let's talk about so for me, for example, I look for an area with high appreciation. Okay, it's a bet, but it's a good bet. If I'm gonna buy a house, I just gonna place a bet when in an area that is highly appreciated. Okay. So for example, people, I buy in Spring Branch right now. This is like the little city in Houston where I'm at, because the price in Spring Branch has just going up like crazy. Okay, other people they decide to stay in Katy because in Katy we have a wonderful school district. Other people might decide to stay in Sugar Land because it's it's close to Milk Tea, it's close to Chinatown. All the people, decide to stay in Cypress because it's close to where they work. So it's really up to you. But Houston has been improving so much. I don't see I don't see. Yeah, it's just it's just multiple reasons for you to stay. Yeah.
Interesting. And so if you're for your own personal investing, because since you buy, I mean, more related to where the numbers work per se, but at the same time, a market does go up, faster than others.
Exactly.
So which areas are you kind of eyeballing or at least narrowing down, given where the market is right now? Like, which cities are you looking at?
Like, are you talking as far as appreciation or what?
Let's look up two examples, right? So appreciation of what you kind of feel like is a great kind of area for that from a primary home, and then the other from a rental perspective.
Okay. So from a rental perspective, so again, everybody have a different philosophy, right? Or different investment style and different skill. I cannot be, I cannot be investing in a ghetto area because I don't have the skill to deal, with the stuff that's gonna come up in a ghetto area. Sunnyside, for example, is one of, I'm sorry if I say something wrong, but Sunnyside is one of the ghetto area, in my opinion, in Houston. Okay, so I don't have the skill to invest there, but I know like a ton of people, they are killing it in Sunnyside, because they have the skill to invest in that area.
Right.
Most of my rental, my sweet spot is in those areas with good school district that people want to live in there. They want their kids to go to good school, but they cannot afford a house over there. So those are the spot that I pick. Great school district, how it's just a little high. People cannot afford it. So if they see a good rental that can work for their family, you're gonna have a tenant that's gonna stay there for years. Okay, they don't want to leave because they pick a good school. You give them just a little break on the rent. You give them a really nice and safe place to live. It's I call it a B or B plus area. So that's that's where most of my rental is.
I see.
B plus area. Yeah. So rental perspective, and then you say from personal
appreciation. Personal.
Like Houston area, they appreciate in general. So I already told you it. Spring Branch, right, is one of my favorite. All the people, they make a lot of money in what we call the height. I think the height appreciates so much. In the past couple of years, you cannot even touch like a piece of land in there anymore because it's appreciated so much already. So personally, I think Spring Branch is coming next. So that's why I bought like this house here in Spring Branch. But let me back it up, right? Appreciation is just a bet, okay?
Yeah, right.
As a real estate investor, you need to learn how to invest with no money. For example, if you can buy a house and you put no money down, if you can burn it out, it doesn't matter what the market go up, go down, go sideways, crash, your house burn, the hurricane blow it away. It doesn't matter. You control an asset. You control an asset with no money down, and it's positive cash flow. And for me, that's a win-win. As an investor, as a sophisticated investor, you need to learn how to do that. Yeah, it's just my opinion.
Oh, that's awesome. And what are the prices in Spring Branch right now? Like, what can people expect from a single family home, average single family home?
It's a wide range. So like this house right here, the appraisal come back at 272,000. So you have $1 million house in Spring Branch, and you still have neighborhood, which is what I kind of pick right now. It's still under 200,000. So wow. It's just a big price, and that's what I love about real estate. It's very local. It's street by street. If you focus on just an area, you can just learn so much about it. Yeah. So not even like I want to focus in Houston. Like what area in Houston do you focus on? Street by street is different. Sometimes if you know the area really well, like this house right here, I kind of push the boundary a little bit. I'm not sure if it's gonna appraise for 272, but I have enough evidence that's gonna give it a try, and it worked for me. Yeah. So I bought this house for 100, right? I put another 100 grand into it. I fixed it up. The appraisal come out, unbelievable, 272. I can refinance my 200 out, and the rest is history.
Right. Yeah. Then you just kind of keep rolling.
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. You take your capital out, you put it in the bank or you put it in somewhere else, you just keep repeating it, but you don't spend your capital, you don't lose it.
Got it. And for you personally, do you invest or look into multifamily instead, and why or why not?
Well, I would love to, but it's just not something I would love to, but number one, I never done one before. And the market right now, is kind of saturated. The cap rate for multifamily is just super low right now.
Yeah.
So why again, this is just me speaking, right? Why would you buy something, give you a return of 4% a year? You might as well stick it in Bitcoin.
Okay. Yeah.
4%, like, come on.
Interesting. Got it.
Yeah.
I see. Because at the end of the day, your metric in your case and that's the beauty of real estate, right? Like, it's no different in the sense than picking stocks where you have a philosophy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's cash flow, whatever it is, it works well for you, right? You mentioned some, your colleagues that invest in, cheaper areas. It's a lot more potential maintenance, but if they have a well-run system, they can have even higher cash flow, right, than you, right? Because that's all part of that system. Or others have, invest in the Bay Area or invest in wherever that appreciates high. And then depending on the time frame and the horizon,
exactly,
it's just different. It's
yeah,
different.
so
It's different.
Exactly. So let me give you another example, right? So I think, as you can tell right now, I'm a cash flow guy. Okay.
Right.
I don't worry so much about, equity or appreciation. If it's happened, it's happened. But when I buy, it needs to positive cash flow. It needs to give me income every month. That's really what I care about. I have a great friend, a great investor of mine. He make a bunch of money doing his daytime job. He doesn't even care if his house gonna cash flow. All he care about is that, I get a house, I'm gonna put it on a 15 years mortgage instead of a 30-year. And then, the only thing I need to make sure is my tenant pay off all my mortgage.
Right.
And then, 15 years later, I'm gonna have 10, 20 house for free and clear. I can either retire from my job, I can pass it to my kid. As of right now, I don't give a shit about cash flow because I make so much money in my day job. See, so two successful investor, two different spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think, and I'm not a tax person, but I think a lot of it has to do with some aspects of taxes too, I believe, right?
Yeah, and
right?
you get a ton of deduction, if you invest in real estate, your Schedule E, especially if you do it the way that he does.
Right.
It's gonna show it up. It's gonna show up, as a loss on your Schedule E. And that's one reason he invests, he makes so much money in his W-2 job.
That's right.
And the Schedule E just deduct the hell out of his income. So he pay less tax every year. So why the hell not buy more house?
Yeah. No, that's exactly what, I see that happen across the Bay Area too, right? People make good money. In the Bay Area will rarely, if ever, cash flow, but at the same time, it's just a different lens.
Exactly.
It's just a different, whatever you feel is the right kind of model for you. I mean, because you look at stocks, same example, like you can buy dividend paying stocks, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of slow and steady. But then if you bought Tesla over the last few periods, and you can buy infinite rentals right now, right? So,
EXPI, man, EXPI.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the same with EXPI. Right. So you have these examples, right? There's no cash flow, there's no dividends from EXPI, but obviously you would have done phenomenal. So that's just one of the things to be aware of too. Like, there's many ways to do it. The only ones that don't make money are the ones that don't do any of them. Right. So they just keep it in a bank account and it accrues, 0%. So that's kind of how it is. No, this has been very helpful. No, thank you so much for sharing all your insights of the local market. And so, what do you think do you see any, I know you do most on the investment side, but from your own kind of rental portfolio, or kind of, do you see any more trends though? Like, are people moving from is your downtown Houston like lively? Are people moving out from it? Like, is there any sort of migration at all?
Well, that's an interesting question. Because Houston is, a lot of suburbs area, right?
Right.
So I actually never personally, like sold a house within, like we have a loop called a 610 loop.
Okay.
I don't think I actually ever saw a house in, like help people. I saw a house in there, I list a house and I get it sold. But I actually, in my past 2-3 years, I never actually get a buyer to go to buy in a 610 loop. So in
Interesting.
my opinion, I think people is just like moving out of downtown Houston and they go to area like Katy, like Cypress, Sugarland. It's only 30 minutes to go to downtown. And especially the way with COVID right now, a lot of people realize that, hey, I don't need to live in downtown anymore. Why spend the time and the money to buy something so expensive, versus you could have a mansion in just 30 minutes away.
Uh-huh.
It's just me. That's I see the trend is that, these, like Houston, like, high rise area,
Hmm.
I think it's gonna deflate in as far as pricing, and you're gonna see the suburban, the houses like far away, it's gonna even become harder.
Hmm. Hmm. Got it. I guess my last question is, out of curiosity, where are, I mean, you mentioned about Baytown, which is where the refineries are. Is
Yeah.
that where most of like the oil and gas industry is, or is there other cities along the coast as well?
Um, the Bay Area, the Baytown, it's just refinery, right?
Okay.
So it's actually, the oil they go there, and then there's a refinery factory over there. But oil company, we have an Exxon campus, a
Uh-huh.
very big Exxon campus on Spring, Texas, on North 45. We have BP on I-10. We have ConocoPhillips, on the west side. The Schlumberger, it's a big company I used to work for Schlumberger. They have offices all over the place in Houston. Is that kind of answer your question?
It does. Like, is it? You said the west side of Houston, like the West Houston, or just like west kind of?
So you look at Houston, right? And
Yeah.
the Interstate 45 is kind of divide Houston.
Okay.
So
Right. Right. I see.
on the right side of it, is the Baytown area refinery, and then on the west side is where most of us live, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's more like it's more like computer work. I don't know how to say it. It's like, you do computer you do work on your computer.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. 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 Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Very cool. And then, sorry, I have one more last question, I guess. What about
Go
the
ahead.
What about the Galveston area? Because I always
Galveston.
see a Houston, Galveston, right? What's
Mhm.
out there then?
Galveston is a beach, so it's about 1 hour, and yeah, from where I'm at, it's about 1 hour and 30 minutes to go to Galveston.
Uh-huh.
Luckily, the hurricane didn't hit us,
Okay.
but Houston, but Galveston, I don't know a lot about the market over there, but I do go there for fun. I do go, it's just like a little local vacation destination for local people,
Uh-huh.
and Airbnb is doing amazingly well over there,
I
and
see.
yeah,
Got
yep,
it. Got it. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Hui, thank you so much for your insights. It's always nice to learn about other markets and,
yeah.
especially from a rental kind of hat. So how can people get a hold of you if they're looking at possible investments, or have a conversation? Like, what's the best way of people connecting?
I guess I can give out, your audience my cell phone. They can text me, call me 281-736-6350. Or, I have a handle on Instagram. It's called Cashflow Agent. They can follow me on Instagram at Cashflow Agent. And I can send you the handle on Facebook. I have a handle on Facebook as well. Yeah. So I can
Wonderful.
post it in a comment after this.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your insights again, and thank you everyone for tuning in to another weekly edition. I will see you at the next one. Bye now.
Well, thank you for reaching out. It was fun. All
Awesome. Thank you.
right. See you later.
All right. Bye now. Thanks for making it to the very end of my YouTube video. If you like the content, please hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that little bell as well, since it'll give you notifications of when my next episode is. If you know of anyone that is considering to buy or sell a home here in the Bay Area, I'm never too busy to help more people. Always welcome to have a conversation, regardless if you're ready to go right now or if you wanted to buy 5 years later. Click on that calendar link, and then you'll be able to book an appointment with me and love to have a conversation about your situation. In the meantime, I also do have a monthly newsletter, so feel free to hit that link below, and then you'll be able to get my updates, personal updates that I write once a month in terms of what is going on with the market and some of my latest activities. Hope to see you at the next one. Thank you.